I'm your host, Donna Cates, and each week we'll dive into powerful stories, expert strategies, and practical tools to help you take charge of your financial future. Whether you're planning for retirement, navigating a divorce, or simply looking to build your wealth with confidence, this is your space to grow, learn, and thrive. Let's get started with today's podcast. Introduce you to Sarah Bell. She owns Bell's Breakthrough Leadership Coaching. So, Sarah, we're delighted to have you here with us today, and I'm eager to delve deep into your career journey now. So, can you give us a 90-second overview of what it is that you do and why you got into it?
I sure can. So I am a transformation coach for nurses, helping them shift out of that good girl operating system where they're always taking care of the needs of others into a place of empowerment where they can put themselves first and create space in their lives so that they can recover that passion and joy they have for their nursing careers. And I do that because I am a registered nurse myself, and I was once stuck, burned out, fed up, and frustrated, and became a coach and learned a whole lot of exciting things. And so I share them now with my clients.
That is so fabulous. Are you still nursing or are you only doing coaching at this point?
I'm only doing coaching at this point. However, I do still have my license, but I keep up to date with what's going on, but I'm not practicing.
Okay, that's awesome. And that's the thing is once you have that nursing license, you don't want to let go of it. That's too valuable, right?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
tell me, I would love for you to share with us the biggest problem that you see in your industry now and how you're working to solve that. And especially since you're working with a very specific niche as a coach.
Yeah, so I think the biggest problem I see from a high level view is the business and the business side of healthcare and the healthcare professional side of healthcare don't exactly dovetail together. They're after the same outcomes and same results, but the methodologies for trying to get there are different, and it's causing frustration and burnout and exhaustion in the nursing profession. So, yeah, I'd like to help nurses learn how to find their voice, speak up, ask for what they need, and really reclaim their profession and be the leaders of their profession again.
And do you think if they in today's culture with the business side of healthcare, do you believe that when they have that skill set of speaking, that they'll actually be heard? Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yes, I do. However, we need to come from a place not of complaining. There's a lot to complain about. Don't get me wrong. So I'm not telling people, oh no, you're seeing it all wrong. Don't complain. There's a lot to complain about. However, we need to step more into the solution side and speaking up, because nurses have a lot of answers to a lot of problems, but we're not necessarily speaking up. And I think part of this is we've learned to take orders from other people. We've learned to keep everybody happy, and we don't want to rock the boat. However, I do believe if nurses speak up and speak their mind and speak their truth, there's a lot that can be learned from that can help the healthcare industry in general.
I so relate with what you're saying because from personality wise, I kind of grew up with the Susie Sunshine syndrome, to make everybody else happy at your own, own demise. So I can appreciate what you're saying. So I would love for you to tell us what makes you unique in the way that you're working with these nurses.
I have had my fair share of struggles with this people pleasing good girl mindset. It is pretty much behind what made me look very successful on paper. That I could get my performance reviews were great, my bonuses were great, I got promotions, I got all the right things. But inside, I was kind of dying because what I was doing wasn't lighting me up. And I just one day had this epiphany when I was going to be put into a position that I didn't want to go into was, oh my gosh, this is my life and my career, yet I'm letting other people make decisions about it and where I'll work and what I'll do. And once I'd opened my eyes to that, that was it. I couldn't go on. And I'd already been coaching nurses, and I already kind of had seen how they were, how we all operated on this level of what do other people need. Once I broke out of that, I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to open a trapdoor. We all need to escape. And I escaped. I'm not doing hands-on nursing anymore, but I'm not encouraging nurses to leave. I'm not encouraging them to stay either if they're not happy. What I'm encouraging them to do is to really make their own decisions, career decisions about what they want to do with their career, how they want to operate, and to say no to things that don't align with their values on nursing ethics. Sometimes we feel stuck between what the business is asking us to do and what our board of nursing is saying that we should do in those situations. We have two bosses. And I think for nurses, it's time for us to do and say what is right for us as a nurse.
Wow. So I'm curious to know where you see the industry going in the next 5 to 10 years, especially if you're able to empower people to do what you're talking about now.
So oh my gosh, if nurses could feel empowered to reclaim their profession and say no to the things that, and feel safe doing so, and feel safe sharing. And it's not just nurses. I'm working with nurses, but it's physicians, it's social workers, it's dietitians. All of us start teaching and training the business on how to get the best out of us, rather than just, oh, they're the boss and they have the paycheck. Let's see how we can make what they want work. Turn it around, work with them and teach them and help them understand they don't like all the turnover that's happening at the moment. Nurses are going to stay if they feel valued, heard, and respected.
Well, and you can't help but think that if the nurses are that empowered and they're making a difference in the day-to-day lives of all the physicians or the ones that are in power, that everybody's going to win.
Yeah, the patients are going to win. Okay, because everything really is patient-centered, right? Or should be patient-centered. That's where it should be. So yeah, everyone's going to win. The patients are going to win. People are going to be focusing on what matters most, the patients themselves, and it's going to be a win for the business too.
Everybody wins. That's a good day, I would say. So share with us, I know you've shared a little bit about your pre-work, working as a nurse and some of the frustrations that you've had, but what's been the biggest challenge that you've faced thus far in your life, whether it's personally or professionally, and how's that shaped the way you're doing business today?
So many challenges. I think the biggest one is what I'm helping other nurses do, like finding my own voice, because there are plenty of times I've sat in meetings and agreed, just shook my head, looking around. Well, everybody else is going that way, so I guess that's the way we're going. What's the point of me speaking up and sharing my ideas? To now, it wouldn't bother me. Now I feel quite comfortable. Even if nobody agrees with me, I would feel a whole lot better speaking up and just saying, oh, I've just got a question, like, this is how I see it. Am I misguided? Because oftentimes, it could be a unique perspective that nobody thought of, and it might change the situation. But I've just gone, like, don't rock the boat, go with the flow. So I learned to, like, just ask for what I wanted. And when I did that for the first time, I was like, I got treated with respect. I didn't get humiliated like I thought I would. It's all in my head. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, where has this part of me been all my life? I need more of this.
Wow, how empowering that is. And you did that expecting to be ridiculed or judged or whatever all the things are. And instead, you were just empowered because you were acknowledged.
I was acknowledged. It was like, oh, okay. Like, I was being offered a job that I didn't want. And I'm like, no, and they were like, oh, I thought this would have been right at your street. And I said, no, it's not. It's not what I want to do. in the past, I'd have said yes, and I would have been doing it miserably. Who wants a miserable person working on their team? Nobody.
No, I think the answer to that is nobody really wants it, but who's doing anything about it? So thank you, because you are. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, I love it. And the more nurses, and just for if there are any nurses listening, you don't have to take a big leap. It's just like I say, don't jump out of your comfort zone, stretch it a little. Maybe ask a question rather than saying, I don't agree. Oh, could you help me understand? I'm a little confused about this. Can you help me understand it? Just learn to be curious, ask questions, and your comfort zone will stretch. You don't have to jump out and with no parachute.
I love that. And the just being curious, that's
Yeah.
a really good way to frame it. Yeah, tell me a little bit more about that, right? That's
Yeah.
fabulous. Well, tell me, if you could have lunch with any person, living or deceased, who would that be and why?
Ooh, living or deceased? I think I would like to have lunch with Michelle Obama. I would be so curious about her, how she has a strong, powerful presence in the world, yet she was in a very supportive of her husband position for 8 years. How did that feel, and how did she balance that, her own empowerment? Did she feel like she was putting her own self on the back burner for a while? Did she not? How did she navigate through that? Because she's an independent, powerful woman in her own right. So, but she was in that role.
Yeah, I would be curious to sit with you in that lunch as well. That could be a good conversation. Well, listen, I would love for you to share with our audience, and I'm confident we're going to have plenty of nurses out there. I have plenty of nurse clients myself. How would they reach out to you if they want to learn more about the work that you're doing, the coaching that you're doing? What's the best way for them to contact you?
They can find me on LinkedIn just under Sarah Bell or Bell's Breakthrough Leadership Coaching. I wish I'd thought of a shorter name. Or they can email me at Sarah with an H, sarah.bell@bellscoaching.com. And I'd love to hear from them. Love to hear their thoughts, their input, and answer any questions.
Awesome. And I have to ask one last question before we close out the podcast interview today. You're obviously not from here originally. Can you share with us your origin?
Yeah, I forget about that now. So I am from the UK, and I transitioned to Texas in 2002. I don't think I've got the Texas twang quite right yet, but
I'm going to say I'm in Birmingham, Alabama, grew up in Atlanta. Everybody always recognizes that I'm Southern, but it's either they're thinking either Georgia or Texas. Nobody ever says Alabama. And I can say we don't sound anything alike, but I'm delighted to know you, and I love your voice and your presence. So thank you for sharing with us today.
Oh, it was great. Thank you so much for having me, Donna.
You're very welcome. I hope today's conversation left you feeling inspired, informed, and ready to take the next step in your financial journey. Remember, building wealth isn't just about money, it's also about creating a life that aligns with your goals and values. If you found this episode valuable, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with the women in your life who deserve financial empowerment too. Until next time, stay confident, stay empowered, and keep building the life you desire.